Inside Africa, in association with Zenith Bank.
It's been described as physical chess, a sport which relies on skills, tactics, and strategy.
The fencer needs to be independent, need to make decisions alone, and you need to learn how to be patient.
As a preparation for armed combat, fencing is as old as the sword itself. Today, the modern adaptation of this ancient sport is practiced in 145 countries. And in Africa, the popularity of the sport has challenged a new generation of fighters.
Oh, if we were looking, let's say, 20 years ago, it was just 5 countries and a few other countries with the absolute beginners. Now the sport is developing very, very well.
This is the future of fencing. This is Inside Africa. The modern-day fencer is skilled in the use of 3 different weapons: foil, ipe, and saber. These sporting weapons are lightweight, flexible, and without sharp points or edges. But in the right hands, they are dangerously effective. While injuries are rare and all fencers wear protective gear, every competitor who steps to the line knows it's still a high-stakes duel.
I just never really looked at anything else because when I started fencing, I liked it and we kept on doing it, and there was just never really anything else that we tried.
I would like to win the World Championships and the Olympic Games one day.
Natanya and Christian Bester are not short on ambition, and with good reason.
In under 17s, I'm ranked number 1. In under 20s, I'm also ranked number 1. And in seniors, I'm ranked number 2.
Currently, I'm ranked number 1 in South Africa for juniors and seniors.
Their lives revolve around fencing. They spend hours every day on the piste and have the full support of their parents. So much so, their father Neil built them their very own fencing facility.
A couple of years ago, we really started struggling with facilities because a fencing hall has to be fairly large. There's not that many available, and at the club where they were, there were a lot of issues. The university, there were a lot of issues with the students. So for a long time, they didn't have anywhere to train. So at that time, essentially, we said we've got to start looking at a facility for them in case things like this happen. We searched for a place, looked at all kinds of different venues, and eventually we decided the best option was to start something from scratch.
My parents have always been very supportive, and I know my dad really supports us, and he also believes in us, and that is why he built us this entire place that we can train. And he's also really focused on excellence, and he wants us to be the best that we can. Sometimes when you just need to let something go, or in a tough bout, catching up, or screaming after a point or something, I liked the intensity of fencing, something that when I thought about other sports, I don't really think other sports can offer me that fencing can.
Neil believes one of the keys to his young athletes' success is all-round fitness training. He focuses on a strength training program that complements the development of his fencers.
I believe they should be tough. And you can only become tough and get confidence if you train hard. So I would help them to become tough by assisting them in non-fencing related training and exercises so that they can be tough in all areas of life, not just in a sport. We built a climbing wall because climbing wall is not something that would work against fencing. We've got some slam walls so that they can develop some explosive power. We've got some ropes so they can climb ropes to develop their upper bodies. So fencing typically, especially in South Africa, you will see fencers have very strong legs, but sometimes they neglect to build their upper bodies. So because of my background in wrestling, I focus a little bit more on the upper body strength than on the leg strength.
Yes, beat hit to the foot, and then beat flick on the hand.
To hone their technical skills, the Besters rely on a world-renowned coach. Once ranked among the top fencers in Russia, he moved to South Africa 20 years ago.
These two, Natanya Besta and Christian Besta, are the only South African fencers who managed to win African championship in junior and cadet that no one previously in the history of South African fencing managed to do that. So they are the first champions of that kind.
With the national senior championships just a few weeks away, expectations are high for the Besters.
I think they'll do well. They work hard and mentally they are strong, and that's essentially all you need.
Fencers ready. Fence.
In a sport traditionally dominated by European countries,
On guard foot.
South African fencers have begun their rise. The keys to their success ahead.
Thinking of banking in Africa? Think Zenith. In today's fast-moving, fast-changing world, you need a financial partner that understands your unique expectations. A bank with presence in major financial centers across the world, with the enabling platform to facilitate seamlessly, whenever, wherever, however. A bank with best-in-class financial solutions from a superb combination of technology and human touch for easy, fast and secure banking that creates real value. Turning dreams into reality is now in your hands. People, technology, service. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
There are all kinds of smiles. The I am blessed smile. The caught you smile. The not a care in the world smile. And the wish I were a child smile. Kirloskar, behind a million smiles, silently and reliably.
I'm Eleni Jokas, and this is CNN.
Fencing is growing in popularity throughout Africa. With a pool of untapped talent, the International Fencing Association has begun to upgrade training facilities on the continent.
Yes, please correct the final position and initial position of the movement. Left arm relaxed, body higher. This is an international coaching academy of the International Fencing Federation, FIE. And coaching education is a very important part. And the International Fencing Federation decided to open the coaching academies on each continent. And we have coaching academy in Europe, in Hungary, and we have now these two academies in Africa. Yeah, Mahmoud, don't take the blade with the arm. That's the first year of a coaching academy here. And there's students from different African countries. We have students from Egypt, from Sierra Leone, definitely from South Africa as well, Uganda, Nigeria. That's different African countries who send here their candidates. Little bigger position, yes.
The Sierra Leone National Fencing Association is actively developing the sport throughout the country. Part of this development plan involves the training of local coaches.
I'm from Sierra Leone, and fencing in Sierra Leone is not that well known because a lot of females are not into fencing. Some are into fencing, but they're like not active because we don't have enough equipment and we don't have enough trainers. So that's why I am in South Africa to train as a coach in order to empower women into fencing and to get them to do fencing and show them how lovely fencing it is.
A little bit more movements and the distance, to choose the right distance for your pupil to make an attack.
It's a relatively new sport in Uganda as well, but what that country lacks in facilities, it more than makes up with enthusiasm.
Yeah, fencing in Uganda, it started like 5 years back after they sent the 2 students to Senegal. In my country, it was not there, but after like 5 years, I think now it's there and people are now enjoying it because it was now registered with the Olympic Committee in my country.
But it is in Nigeria where the most significant growth is taking place. Earlier this year, for the first time, the Nigerian Fencing Association was awarded the rights to host the 2018 Junior and Cadet African Fencing Championships in Lagos.
A little bit body higher, left arm relaxed.
Gennady Taishla started his fencing career in Russia, where he coached the Soviet national team, before moving to South Africa 25 years ago to set up the first fencing school in Johannesburg.
I have been involved in fencing for all my life. This is my profession.
He is also the president of the Coaching Council of the International Fencing Federation and says that a successful fencer needs to know much more than just the physical techniques.
Fencing Academy is tied up together with the college. It's an ETA coach where the students will study for a year and receive the coaching diploma.
On guard. Fencers ready. Fence.
Manyane Sefularo is a national champion in the Team Epe event for 2018 and is currently ranked 9th in South Africa. He is a coaching partner at the academy.
There's been a huge improvement in the last 4 months. People know the technique now, people understand how you should fence. Because, I mean, for other guys who are from Sierra Leone, Uganda, this is the first time getting exposure to a different weapon besides epee, you know, getting involved with such a large number of people doing the sport. So I've seen a big improvement, the excitement as well of the guys, you know, the commitment, that's what is important, has really gotten into track, and I'm happy with what I've seen so far.
The South African Fencing Association was established in 1907, and the first South African competed at the Olympic Games in 1912.
Fencing in South Africa, no, it's not very big sport, but it's quite good sport. We qualified for 2 Olympic Games and competed, and you know that only 8 teams in the world qualifying for Olympic Games now.
In the past years, it's been a big leap, you know. The junior team that just attended the Junior World Champs in Verona managed to beat one of the strongest teams. You know, your Switzerland and your German teams are one of the top teams in fencing, and they managed to beat those 2 teams. So I'd say we're on the right track. We haven't won medals yet, but we're going there. We're going there.
Still to come, some of the most promising talent is emerging from the townships of Soweto and Mamelodi, and the country's leading fencers fight for top honors.
Thinking of banking in Africa? Think Zenith. In today's fast-moving, fast-changing world, you need a financial partner that understands your unique expectations. A bank with presence in major financial centers across the world, with the enabling platform to facilitate seamlessly, whenever, wherever, however. A bank with best-in-class financial solutions from a superb combination of technology and human touch for easy, fast, and secure banking that creates real value. Turning dreams into reality is now in your hands. People, technology, service. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
This weekend, go to cnn.com/motorsport for highlights from the Belgian Grand Prix in association with DHL.
The Great Barrier Reef. Once a vibrant ecosystem full of life, now struggling to cope with the Earth's scorching temperatures. I'm at the Great Barrier Reef. It's one of the natural wonders of the world, and it's in trouble. CNN takes you to see the damage firsthand and meet people spearheading projects in the race to save the reef.
Saturday on CNN.
Lying just 20 kilometers southwest of Johannesburg, Soweto is a bustling city filled with history and intriguing stories of fighters. Nelson Mandela lived here, and it was in this hall where he practiced his favorite sport, boxing.
Forward, forward, and lunge.
The Orlando Community Hall has since been expanded and is now home to a number of indoor community sports, including the Soweto Fencing Club.
It all started somewhere around in September 2001. It started here in Soweto in Power Park. That's when the club was launched through a foreign aid. It was Swedish sport. Then there were donations of equipment and everything. That's how the Soweto Fencing Club started. 2-step back, on guard foot, relax. Compared to other African countries, we're doing quite well. It's a big sport in South Africa, but compared to our Western African counterparts, it's not that popular. As you can see, we have kids, but the hall was supposed to be filled. If, like, for instance, if it was soccer, the hall will be completely filled, but because it's a total different sport, then we have challenges because it's fencing. Forward. In Egypt and Senegal, because I've personally witnessed that the sport is quite big, because their development is quite doing well, because you'll find that at their halls, a hall like this one, you'll find that they have plus minus 50 kids. And then you find that in their competitions, they have huge numbers.
Sure. So I have a group of under 13s. We had a training session with them today. So mostly we start fencing at that small age because we believe it also helps with academic development as well as thinking. I think that's the right age to start fencing with them.
On guard, please. Fencers ready. Fence.
So these are our beginners. They started fencing this year because for us to develop fencers, we need to start them in an early age.
Hawkins believes fencing helps kids to learn about self-control and strategic thinking. And he knows you don't have to be the fastest or the strongest to do well in this sport. Both he and Manyani had their first taste of fencing right here in Soweto.
No, it was on an expo day, so we had the Soweto Sports Council inviting the entire schools to just, get exposure to different sport. I just loved sword playing as a little 13-year-old. I was just in love with sword playing. I mean, who wouldn't? I just realized that this is actually my thing. When I started getting national colors, then I just progressed with the sport.
And then when I saw the guys who came in did demonstration, then that's when I was excited. Then I got interested that no, I need to try this sport, because back then there was not a specific sport that I was doing. I was just a sport volunteer, but not in a specific sport. Then since then, I've never backed out of fencing.
Fencing has meant a lot in my life. It has been a pillar of direction. Growing up in Soweto, you're exposed to negative things. You know, there's drugs, there's alcohol abuse. So fencing has actually built me to be in the right direction in life, you know, to want to achieve more, to pursue, you know, sports more than any other thing in life, as well as, you know, like I said, it develops an individual mentally, strategically, you're able to think, and that, you know, that has been the biggest impact that fencing has had on my life.
Back in Johannesburg, the premier fencing competition on the South African calendar is underway. The Senior National Fencing Championships forms part of the Arnold Classic Sports Festival, a multi-sport event started by former bodybuilder Arnold Schwarzenegger. Up for grabs are national titles in all three categories, épée, foil, and saber, as well as an opportunity to qualify for the World Championships in China. Christian Bester is here, taking the opportunity to size up his main competition. Among them, junior national teammates Pavel Teichler and Harry Sainer. In between bouts, they're the best of friends, but as soon as they don their masks, they become formidable foes. Natanya is here too, not competing on the first day, but instead wearing her referee's hat.
Well, 2 years ago, I did my refereeing course in South Africa, so I qualified to be a South African national referee. It takes a while to get used to because you need to know the rules and know the different hand signals and things, and you also really need to be able to stand up when the fencers are fighting a battle point and make up your mind and say, this is how I saw it, and as the referee, this is how I call it. But I really do enjoy refereeing.
Unfortunately, Natanya's bouts don't go as planned, and she is knocked out in the quarterfinals, but is able to hold on to her #1 ranking.
I messed up a bit, and it didn't go according to plan, but at the end, I still made the top 8, and afterwards, my team won the gold medal for the championships.
As the event continues, eyes turn to this shy young fencer. Although Celine Chiang has not been fencing for very long, she has already drawn the attention of coaches because of her deep understanding of the sport. One by one, Celine defeats her more seasoned competitors. It's an impressive stand that earns her top honors in the senior women's saber category.
It was really stiff. There were a lot of good fencers here today, and everyone was like just putting in their best and trying to keep their emotions under control, I guess.
Meanwhile, Christian has been hard at work, systematically knocking out the best male fencers in the country. In the final bout, he's up against Cape Town's Ati Vuntu. Christian's prospects as a world-class fencer continue to grow. At the age of just 16, he is now ranked 2nd in Africa in the under-20 épée and 21st in the world.
It was a bit of a bumpy start, but after starting, it went much better. I beat some of the best fencers in South Africa today, so it was really nice.
Once known as the sport of kings, fencing continues to fight for recognition in Africa. With competitions like this, coaches and competitors here feel confident they will one day face off against the best in the world.
In inside Africa, in association with Zenith Bank.